Hello everyone and welcome to another EBTV Sports presentation. Tonight it's high school wrestling as the East Brunswick Bears host the Piscataway Chiefs in GMC Red Division competition. Hi everyone, I'm Bob Cancro along with Stu Kohn, and we'll be here to bring you all the play-by-play action. Stu, tonight the Bears come in after a loss to Old Bridge just the other day. The Chiefs have been having a little bit of an off year as well. They have a new head coach in Mike Awad. What's it like when you're following a legend like Bill Voliva and then you're going to take over a program that's been a very successful one in the county?
Well, you know, you got to be willing to rejuvenate. It's not a let's say a reload. It's a rebuilding year, and to do it, it's from bottom top. You're going to take your aches and pains and bruises the first couple of years, and hopefully it pays off. But you really have to come in with young blood like Mike and be willing to pay the price and build the program back up. And in time, he'll reap the benefits from it.
The Chiefs are 2-5. The Bears are 1-5. So on paper, you never know what that's going to look like. Although the Bears have had some good spots along the way. What should the matchups look like tonight?
Well, as long as you and I have been doing this, my predictions have been about 0. Putting myself on the line, I think East Brunswick's in good shape tonight. Piscataway's a little young, and East Brunswick should be okay tonight. As far as individual matchups, the strong point I think we'll see from Piscataway, C.J. Adams comes in at 125, and of course Sergio at 189 is always strong in the East Brunswick lineup.
Should be an interesting matchup tonight as the Bears face the Chiefs. We'll be back in just a moment with all the action. We are back at East Brunswick High School in the gymnasium where we have Red Division wrestling between the Bears and the Piscataway Chiefs. Stu, we are going to be starting off at 140 pounds, and they're doing the introductions right now. They have two people up there, Chaz Downing Van Ness, who was one of their returners, and Craig Machisco. One of those two will be wrestling against Todd Marriott. Marriott, one of the better wrestlers for the Bears. Nice to get a good start off when you have a successful record. And again, one of those two wrestlers at 145 against Garrett Burrell.
And you see the introduction start at the weight class that the wrestling will begin.
We have talked about this before at one time, and those who have followed wrestling for a long time, it went from 103 up to the heavyweight. Now with a random draw, and you start in a different location. And that's, again, at 160, that was Ramon Hanna for the Bears coming out. Chris Ramos and Brian Pedrero.
189 Piscataway, Robert Whittaker. For East Brunswick, Sergio Garcia.
Famous name in wrestling, Robert Whittaker.
But why, Stu?
I'm letting you set me up there. Robert Whittaker is the state membership chairman for the Officials Association, and he's also the national rules interpreter for the U.S., and he happens to be a Jersey resident from Pine Brook, New Jersey.
Okay, that's Jimmy Ryder, 215, and then Matt Parabello here down at 103. We went to the heavyweight. I think I missed a weight class there, actually, when I wrote him in, Pat Brome. I missed one.
112 Piscataway, Brian Renahan, and East Brunswick, Brett Shine.
Brett Shine, a 10-7 winner last week when we were here.
119 Piscataway.
Well, the Bears are going to be looking for every opportunity they can tonight. They've been on a bit of a losing streak, having lost to Old Bridge the other night, and one of the big guns with Sergio losing that night, which is always a surprise because he's one of the more solid wrestlers for the Bears. But they're going to be looking to get back on the winning track tonight, and they're going to need a lot of those, as you call them, the 50-50 matches to go their way. And they need those bonus points. They need the major decisions. They're going to need the pins when they can.
Well, we were here for our last broadcast. We did the Woodbridge match, and that was the difference. It's the bonus points. It comes down to sticking when you can pin and not giving up any more than you have to.
Our referee tonight is someone we haven't seen on the varsity level here at East Brunswick for a while, Kevin Rafferty. And let's listen to what's going on out there as they have the coin toss.
You see another new rule this year where the coaches come out to the mat and the referee discusses sportsmanship. The emphasis on new rules this year is on emphasis.
Everything that was said in the locker room, right? You guys are going to be ready to go. Good luck. Have fun. Gentlemen, they will be green. You will be red. Red choice. Even bouts. All right, gentlemen, good luck.
So the referee, as you see, wears corresponding wristbands, red and green. When East Brunswick scores, he'll use his green wristband, which is his right. And for Piscataway, they'll score red. And it helps the fans know who's getting points awarded. I guess it's been about 10 years now they've been using that wristband system.
I think more importantly, it helps the scorer's table help out see what's going on, because when you have a back and forth situation, a reversal, takedown, and back and forth like that, sometimes it's easier to go left hand, right hand, and the official can be more clear in what he's saying. We have Todd Marriott.
Todd Marriott on the mat for East Brunswick. We give a lot of kudos to Sergio Garcia. Todd Marriott's also one of the more seasoned, experienced wrestlers in the Bears lineup, and he's done a real nice job. And now he's in his senior year here at East Brunswick. So it's Marriott up in the air, and the referee's going to stop that. Stalemate combination, potentially dangerous. There was no advancement, so we're going to get a fresh start here with 1:30 to go here in the first period. It's quite a name we got here.
Chaz Downing Van Ness is the
Work the center, work the center.
wrestling for the Chiefs.
Work the center.
As we alluded to earlier, the new coach for Piscataway is Mike Awad, and they're also a GMC Red Division opponent, which puts them in the same bracket in the county as the Bears.
After 26 years, Bill Voliva retiring as the Piscataway head coach.
Piscataway has not had too many wrestling coaches. Before Bill Voliva was there for a long time, Norm Winter was there what seemed like an eternity. So I don't know how long the school's been around, but I can only name 3 wrestling coaches, counting Mike Awad in his first year.
Well, I think Piscataway's been around since about 1960, as Van Ness gets in deep on there and gets a takedown. Good penetration there and cutting out to the side to get the 2. I think Piscataway's been around since about 1960, and Norm Winters was there for a long time, into the 70s easily, and then he very well might have been the first wrestling coach. If there was somebody else, I'm not sure who it was, but you're right. That's a situation that you don't see too often.
Keep working, guys. Keep working. Keep working. Come on.
Okay, listen to Kevin Rafferty telling the wrestlers to keep working. It's the obligation of the top wrestler to work for a fall, and the obligation of the bottom wrestler to improve his position. When neither wrestler fails to advance their position, you'll see one of the wrestlers get warned for stalling.
You've been reading the rule book again, haven't you?
I actually brought it tonight, Coach. We couldn't answer some questions the other night, so I am prepared for you.
Okay. At the end of 1, it's 2-0 Van Ness, and Todd Marriott will have choice, and he defers.
Now you saw Todd cross his arms. That means he's going to defer his choice to the 3rd position. Smart move. He'd rather know where he has to be in the 3rd period. We'll tell you when we think there's a bad choice position.
Well, it's interesting too, Stu, how often the kids will look over to the coaches. They really don't make a lot of those choices. Sometimes they're just going to look for the coach to tell them what they want, especially in the 3rd period when they have a chance to see it.
That's 2-point reversal.
Now, Van Ness is a pretty aggressive wrestler out there tonight. He is a junior. And he's jumping up from the 119-pound weight class from last year, so he's making quite a leap, and he had a 14-7 mark a year ago.
One of the things I see coaches do in 0-0 matches is tell their kid to defer, and I just quite never agree with that as an official, a fan, and I always think you want to score first. If the match ever goes into sudden death and you have choice position, that goes to the wrestler that scored first.
First points.
So you always want, I think, psychologically get the first points on the board.
They talk about getting into players' heads in other sports. I think psychologically, wrestling probably has more of that going on, where it's the choices that impact what's going to happen later on and just how you come out. Quick turn by Todd. He gets up. He's got the ankle, got the knee, and was not able to keep his balance and back onto the mat.
We just couldn't quite finish and complete the move. What Todd needed to do there was spin around to gain the reversal. What Todd's got to do now is pressure back up, get to his base, establish some hand control, and try to explode out of there. Right now, Van Ness is on top. He's kind of controlling the tempo. Todd's got to get busy there. You know, Van Ness has hooked an arm bar, and he's got a near half or a near wrist, and he's running it.
He's got to watch that arm that doesn't come up too far.
Well, he can't take that over the height of the shoulder. Can't go over the 180 degrees.
Todd coming up to his base, which he has to work to. As Van Ness tries the left-hand half and then comes back to control. He's got the wrist, got very good wrist control right now and able to control the tempo, as you're saying. 18 seconds here in the second period, 4-0. Van Ness over Marriott as he throws a leg in. Five to go here in the second period, and they go out of bounds with just 3 seconds showing on the clock.
Well, Todd's going to have choice of position in the third period. You know, he hasn't been able to get out from bottom in the second, so it'll be interesting to see what he chooses to do.
I mean, normally under the circumstances, you'd probably take the bottom because you can score easier that way, and you don't have to worry about controlling the wrestler on the mat. But as you said, he just spent 2 minutes underneath, so the question's going to be what he wants to do. When he looks over to the sideline.
When in doubt, go with the coach, and Coach Pazinko singles in. Take the defensive position, giving, like you said, giving Todd an opportunity to score. It's awful hard to ride a guy for 2 minutes, so let's hope Todd could get on the board here. Down 4-0 with a full third period to go.
He's got his legs out, but Van Ness still with that wrist, and he's trying to peel the hands. You can see as he comes up. And he's got a back count now as he brings him back in a tilt.
That's called a cheap tilt, where you just kind of get under the guy's hips and raise up the opposite leg, and you pick up a couple quick points. And Van Ness converts to 2. Now Todd has to be careful. Not only does he need to score more points, he can't give up any points here. If he exceeds 7, an 8-point decision or more, it would be 14 points, and that'd be an extra bonus point for Piscataway.
You're watching that bar across the back, and they're going to stop it. I'm not sure what happened there.
Well,
Injury time.
Had him in a hammerlock and just raised it up a little bit too much. You can't take that over 90 degrees.
But we have injury time for Piscataway, and you did see the bar there, and that's something that Van Ness has been doing. He's been able to control Todd's wrist and pull that arm back.
That's good. Yeah, we talked a lot about East Brunswick wrestling, but we really didn't get into some of these records. In the program, you could see a 50 and over win club, and top of the list is by a good margin Corey Richings with 104 wins from 2002 to 2005.
Well,
Mark Gensler, I'm sorry, we'll just give you the top 3 and then you can comment. Mark Gensler comes in with 88 wins from 92 to 95, and Sean Daly, an infamous name around East Brunswick wrestling, brother-in-law of Coach Pazinko, he comes in with 87 wins from 92 to 95.
Well, Corey, the first and only wrestler to hit 100 wins at East Brunswick, and of course there was a time when you didn't have freshmen able to wrestle, and so therefore you had some limitations, but nonetheless Corey had a very distinguished career at East Brunswick, and then you get people like Mark Gensler and Sean Daly, and we had a chance to talk about him last week. He was the assistant coach at Woodbridge and has now moved on into officiating, and you as the assigner for the GMC have said he's done a very good job.
Outstanding. I wish I could clone him. I'm trying to think back to the first freshman I can recall that ever wrestled varsity for East Brunswick.
One of the Totos, maybe?
And I believe it was Antonio Toto, and I'm going to say it was about 1978.
Could be. 1:07 to go here. We got to get back to wrestling and the action. Todd Marriott on the bottom, down 6-0 with 1 minute to go here in regulation. And Van Ness controlling the hips, and you're right there, Stu, as you were saying about the extra points. He can't give up the major, and again, Van Ness tried that cheap tilt.
Well, we've seen Todd quite a bit, and he always gives us a good performance, and something just might not be right tonight. Usually Todd, we see him be a lot more explosive.
He's getting locked up right now in a double arm bar, although he breaks it. 28 seconds to go.
He's got to get more offensive here. He's got 27 seconds. He's, can't afford to get tilted, give up any more back points, and he's just did. And as it turns out, he's going to give up a major with 10 seconds and winding down. That brings our bout score to 8-0, which would convert to 14 points and get Piscataway on the board first.
Oh, Chaz Downing Van Ness able to control the match pretty much from beginning to end, and coming up with an 8-0 decision over Todd Marriott.
Piscataway wearing the black and gold, and they score red. East Brunswick in the green and white, and they score green.
Goes to 145 pounds for the Bears, Garrett Burrell. And for Piscataway, Greg Machisco.
Okay, gentlemen, shake hands. Timer's ready.
Chisco on the attack. Backing Burrell up.
That says something right there, Stu, that you've got wrestlers pushing you back, and you know you can't give up that much ground, because at the very least, psychologically, as we're saying, you're backing up.
And you're risking the chance of getting hit for stalling. You know, by definition of the rule, you cannot back up. You must circle. So even though if the guy's just bullying and pushing into you, your defense needs to be circling. It's
quickly in on a
duck under.
High crotch, and the duck under is right. He's got 2 points. Greg Machisco on the board. A 2-0 lead over Burrell.
Let's keep working, guys. Keep working.
Better known as Otis, as our worksheet tells us.
Well, we let the kids be their own public information officers, and so Garrett gave us that middle nickname.
Down here. Let's work from the bottom. Here we go, nice and easy.
Interested in continuing wrestling in college at either Stockton or Rutgers.
He is a senior, so he is looking beyond this year. Just before they set up there, referee Kevin Rafferty told the kids, especially to Burrell, to work in the center and to keep working, be more aggressive. That arm's coming back by Machisco, so he is controlling just as Van Ness controlled at 140. Good wrist control.
Both Piscataway and East Brunswick wrestle again tomorrow. So wrestlers can't afford to get their weight up tonight. Need to kind of maintain, establish balanced weight for tomorrow.
With the state moving up the tournament, the state tournament by an additional week, they're trying to get more matches in earlier. And so what's happening, and East Brunswick had it last week, they have it tomorrow. They have a lot of quads. And so they will be traveling to, I forgot now where.
I know somewhere down the shore.
They're going to Monroe. And an escape for Garrett Burrell, down 2-1 now. They're going to go to Monroe, where they have a matchup against Shore Regional, Sayreville, and Monroe in a quad. And we're seeing more of those this year. So you see Sunday's papers, and you just see tons of matches, because what they're doing is getting 3 bouts in one day.
Green defense.
Which is putting a little dilemma on our officiating ranks. We just don't have enough bodies to cover all the bouts taking place with the addition of the rec leagues. So I'll give a plug for the need of wrestling officials. Anybody out there has an interest, certainly would love you to seek out instructions on how to become a wrestling official. We can use the help.
Garrett Burrell down by a point, and he's on the bottom in this second period. Machisco working very loosely, and Burrell is just out. He can break away for 1 if he stands.
Burrell's got to, like you said, he's got to get his head out from underneath, and there it is. We're tied up at 2-2 here in the second period. Well, Machisco came out awful hard in the first period, you know, used a lot of energy, so, you know, maybe Burrell can get back in the game here. Burrell does have to be careful of that backing, though. He needs to go forward.
And he's being told that by the referee.
A little friendly, free advice. Next one's going to cost him a warning. Burrell needs to take charge. He needs to be the aggressor. He wants to establish inside control rather than out there on his feet.
Got a little sloppy there.
Square up. Needs to hold on to that leg, try to suck that leg in and cut the corner.
2, red.
Nice job by Mazuka countering. Burrell needs to square back up and get one again.
Still red. Still red.
He's got that 3/4 Nelson in, still maintaining control. Okay, now Burrell needs to work first off the whistle.
And I'm sorry, go ahead, Stu.
That's what he's got to do. He's got to explode.
Machisco was the aggressor when he shot, and there was a good counter by Garrett, but he didn't quite finish that off, and eventually he let Machisco get around for the 2 points, and he gives him the escape at that point.
Keep wrestling.
And we have a 4-3 matchup now. Greg Machisco of Piscataway over Garrett Burrell of the Bears, with about 25 seconds to go here in the second period at 145 pounds.
I believe Piscataway's going to have choice in the third period.
Yes, they will.
So Burrell doesn't want to give up anything here. He does give up 2 with 14 seconds to go. Those are the ones you don't want to give up as the clock's winding down.
Well, that's the third time that Machisco has gotten the takedown in this matchup, so he has been very good on his feet, or at least been very lucky on his feet.
So Majewsko is going to take a 6-3 lead into the third period.
Neutral.
And he's going to select neutral.
Not a surprise. We're back on our feet where he has gotten all of his points.
Here we go, third period.
Well, a mistake you see from Mazisco is crossing his legs on his feet. That's a golden opportunity, for Burrell to shoot when your opponent crosses his feet. Now Burrell's going to try to muscle that arm over and just hook it.
He got him pretty deep on that on the high crotch, which he has several times, and Garrett able to counter it.
Well, Garrett's got to be the aggressor here. He's the one down by 3, so he's got to set the tone, set the tempo.
A lot of time left here in the match. 1:22 to go here in this third period.
He's got to set up a shot. He's got to, do some level changes. When you talk about, the success of Corey Richings, 104 wins. One thing Corey was good at was setting up his shot. You create a move to force a reaction, and then you know where your opponent's going to be to capitalize to get the takedown. That was a good. One of Corey's strong points was setting up his moves. It's not so much the shot, it's the shot after the reaction by your opponent and thinking one step ahead.
It's a chess match. Look, both wrestlers actually are a little bit careless. So they bring their feet close together or crossing. A shot by Burrell. Trying to pull in that high crotch.
Well, a lot can happen in 45 seconds. Burrell does have to, he has to get busy. He's got to penetrate, change his levels, and try to set up a shot. Right now, they're just, tied up, head to head. Burrell trying to work underhook.
Let's go.
It's Majewski, taking the shot, and he converts to 2. It's going to put him up 8-3 as our clock's winding down. That's how we're going to end here at 1:45 with 5 seconds to go. Courtesy 1 point, but not going to change anything. We're at 8-4. And that brings our team score to 7-0 in favor of the Chiefs.
Well, the first 2 bouts, which I'm sure Coach Glenn Pizinko was hoping would at least be a split. If you can't get them both. I mean, with 2 different wrestlers going back and forth at 140 and 145 for the Chiefs. Sometimes that says a certain amount of uncertainty and unsettled situation at that weight class, but both wrestlers came out very aggressive. Van Ness coming up with a major decision, and at 145, Machisco coming up with a decision.
All right, gentlemen, let's get set.
Brings up Jordan Braun for the Bears.
He's going to take on Marcus Ruiz for Piscataway. Last time we did a broadcast together, Coach, Jordan Brown was the aggressor, and he came out on top. So let's see if he can keep his winning ways going.
Button it up good.
Braun in the green and Ruiz in the black and gold. And unfortunately, when our broadcast, we're on tape delay, EBTV, we're on tape delay. We had the misfortune of going up against George Bush, and a lot of people had decisions to make. East Brunswick Wrestling or George Bush. That was a joke I got all week from my friends, and they're flipping through the channels, doing a little channel surfing.
I'm not sure what kind of a decision that is. I mean, I don't see it as a choice at all.
We didn't win, Coach.
Oh,
I think the ratings were a little high for Bush.
All right.
EBTV's going to have to come back with another broadcast of that, I think, to be a little more competitive. We got to stay away from George.
Okay. Jordan Braun, a junior for the Bears, as he comes out here in this 152-pound match. Stu, again, we kind of take for granted that we know what's going on, and a lot of people who are watching this do, but let's go through the scoring again, at least on an individual bout for the team scoring, let's say.
Okay, Braun's in on the leg. Now, if he can convert that to a takedown, bring his opponent to the mat, he'll pick up 2 points.
Goes to the bear hug of Wizard by Ruiz.
No.
Still nothing.
Needs to pop his head out. There's the 2. So it's 2 points for a takedown. A reversal in position when you go from bottom to top, whether on your feet or the mat, is a 2-point move. So if Ruiz can gain control here, he'd pick up a 2-point reversal.
That was good work by Braun, because that was just a gutting it out between the two wrestlers. Who was going to be a little more aggressive, who was going to fight a little bit harder, and Jordan Braun came out the winner on that one.
Braun in on a half. I've only seen, Jordan wrestle twice, and I've been impressed. He's aggressive, he works hard. I've liked what I've seen the 2 times I've seen him take the mat so far. Right now, he's got a tight waist, riding parallel. He does have to come out to the side to avoid the stall call. When you're on top of your opponent, you're in the offensive position, you cannot stay parallel. You need to come out to the side.
15 seconds here in the first period at 152 pounds, and as we'll continue the scoring as we get the break in between. The choice will be Jordan Braun's in the second as he gets that tilt. He's got a couple of points in there at least.
Nice job by Jordan, picking up the tilt, picking up back points. Picks up 3 back points.
Okay.
He held his opponent on in the situation, the fall situation, for 5 seconds or more.
That's one shoulder down, and the other one within 45 degrees.
Correct.
Or both shoulders within 4 inches of the mat.
Scapulas or blades, any part of the shoulder or any combination of. You actually can even give up back points if you're defending yourself on your elbows. So any exposure to the back is going to pick up a high bridge as well. You'll pick up back points.
Braun had the choice. He deferred, and Marcus Ruiz takes the defense.
And I'm not so sure that was a good move by Ruiz after, Braun had his way. He worked the tilt real nice.
Good control by Braun, bringing him back to the mat. And you're right, he has shown some good spirit and good fight.
No.
And you hear the referee saying no, there's no back points there on that tilt.
It's nice to see Kevin Rafferty out there, as you said earlier. Well known around town. He's been a big part of East Brunswick wrestling for many, many years.
Braun working the wrist and a half, and Ruiz able to fight. But we're going to have to decide if we're going to call him Ruiz or Ruiz, as you did. I forgot. We've got 2 pronunciations, so your choice.
We'll go Marcus. So, one thing, when the officials out there, whether it be Kevin or anybody else, your cadence kind of gets set early on. We haven't seen any stalling warnings or violations. And the main objective is the officials stay consistent. So maybe Kevin's giving them a little latitude tonight with the, riding parallel. And I think most coaches agree they don't really care how an official is going to be as long as he's consistent.
Absolutely. I mean, Kevin and I were talking before the match as, again, another tilt by Jordan Braun. He's doing a nice job getting those back points in there.
If you don't call stalling for 6 bouts, you can't start calling your 7th.
Right. And Kevin is the first to, and he was talking to me about the fact that stalling is one of the toughest ones for him to call. And I had the same problem myself when I was officiating. It's a very subjective decision, and how do you determine exactly what that is? And so we have a 9-0 lead right now for Jordan Braun as he's trying to turn him again with a half. He's got Ruiz over. 17 seconds to go here in the second period. He's got to stretch that arm out.
He's got to get the head off the mat. He's got to arch his back.
A little more weight on the chest. Stretch it out. 8 seconds.
One of the things the Bears lacked was the bonus points when they wrestled Woodbridge, losing by 3. They split 7-7 each on the points, but they didn't pick up the bonus points. So Jordan being the aggressor out there, trying to pick up as many points as he can. Now, right now, he's at 12-0. If that lead should go to 15 points or more, it'd be a technical fall. The match would be stopped, and he'd be awarded 5 team points.
Well, the referral went over to the coach. What do you want me to do here? I'm up by 12. I think Braun, it looked like he said, should I go bottom? Maybe come out for 2 and 1. But Coach Pazinko gave him the.
Well, Braun basically is going to, assuming he gets a takedown, he's going to have 1 crack at the fall.
Right.
Because if he doesn't pick up the fall, it's his back points, and they come out of the position, the referee will stop it for a technical fall.
He's got the major, which is 4 points. 3 points for a decision anywhere from 1 to 7 point margin. From 8 to 14, it is a 4-point major decision as Ruiz gets the takedown and cuts the lead to 10 points.
Braun trying to look for a Peterson there. He needs to get his hips off the mat.
Well, he's got the major. Right now, he just has to keep working and something like that to dump off the top if he can do that in the middle.
Come on, Red.
Well, one of the things that's impressed me about Jordan is he stays busy for the 6 minutes out there. He's not going to try to ride the lead. He's the kind of kid that's going to keep working and try to improve on the score.
And he is a junior, so he'll be around for another year.
Come on.
Needs established hand control.
Just over 1 minute to go here in the last period in this 152-pound match, as Ruiz brings Braun down. A 10-point lead for Jordan Braun, so it's a major decision at this point as he hooks the leg.
Well, Ruiz has to be careful himself. He almost did a full Nelson there. That's an illegal move. It's a 1-point violation as Braun pops through, takes Ruiz to his back, so he's going to pick up 2 for the reversal, at least 3 back points. That would give him the tech fall at 17-2, and that should end it here.
That's
We're going to get a tech fall.
17-2.
That's it, gentlemen.
That's something the referee isn't always aware of. You know, he needs to rely on his scorer and timer when there's a 15-point spread. If he's still not sure, he needs to come over and verify the score.
You might have seen Kevin take a quick look up at the at the scoreboard. He knew there was a point differential there, but he wasn't quite sure. So a nice win for Jordan Braun with a tech fall, and I didn't get the time, but that's okay.
Well, one thing about officiating, the scorer and timer can really make you look bad. The official
absolutely
needs to be in sync with the scorer and timer. If a call is made on the buzzer, it is technically the responsibility of the timer to tell the official whether the points are awarded before or after the buzzer. So just, being the timer, there's a little more added pressure on that you don't realize. And
well, Ramon Hanna had to come out. Well, did not have to come out first, but there was nobody to wrestle against, so he picks up the forfeit.
Nick Yanazzo working our clock tonight.
And
former East Brunswick wrestler.
The Bears now with an 11-7 lead as Ramon Hanna gets the victory at 160, and we jump up to 170 where Brian Pedrero comes out for the Bears.
Shake hands. Here we go.
Check it.
Pedrero in a head-to-head tie. Pedrero has had the misfortune, it seems like every time the Bears take the mat, he keeps getting the big gun from the other school. So let's see how Brian Pedrero could do tonight with Chris Ramos.
All right, here we go. Set.
Well, Pedrero at 171 pounds.
He's a senior.
Right. Took a second in the Bears Invitational back over the holidays.
Come on, guys, let's wrestle.
And we believe he has a 6-7 record on this season.
He's pretty even up all the way around. A 6-7 season record, 20-21 career record. I'm sure he'll improve as the season goes on. I mean, East Brunswick, they got South Plainfield and Old Bridge out of the way.
Well, everybody wants to have
so it's all downhill from here.
It's a cruise. It's a cruise at that point. Well, the Bears coming back with the tech fall by Jordan Braun and then the forfeit at 160. They've got Sergio Garcia on deck right now. And if they can pick up a win here, get a little momentum going, that's a big plus. As Ramos and Pedrero feel out the situation.
So we're locked at zeros with 23 seconds to go in the first.
I don't know if you could hear that, Stu, or if the people at home could hear it, but Kevin Rafferty just said, hey, all we're doing out here, guys, is dancing.
I like that line. I think I might copy that.
And you ask him if it's copyright or not.
And it's
Head
Brian.
And the knee pick. Nice remove by Pedrero with a takedown.
Nice conversion by Brian. He's going to pick
And
up some back points here as well. So it went from no action for a minute and 45 seconds, ended in 4 points with the last 13 seconds.
Well, Brian Pedrero took Kevin Rafferty's message to heart and just said the dancing is over.
Well, that's been a problem for the Bears that, 2 times we've broadcasted so far is giving up the points at the end of the period. So it's nice to score some points at the end of the period.
4-0 is the lead for Pedrero. He deferred to Ramos, and Ramos took neutral.
Pedrero also runs track and cross country for the Bears.
And running cross country is not a surprise for a lot of wrestlers. That's a good way of getting in shape, and running is great exercise. I'm not going to do it, but
well, some wrestlers that take wrestling that serious will
Yeah.
go out for cross country for no other reason but to get in shape for wrestling season.
Exactly.
Some of them absolutely have no interest in the sport, but what can get you in better shape than running 3 to 5 miles a day?
milkshakes don't do that.
Well, they don't help any, but they taste good.
That's true. Well, again, we're back to what was happening at the beginning of the first period, which is a little bit of dancing and back and forth. Both wrestlers trying to set each other up.
Nothing like a Magnifico's vanilla milkshake. You know, we got to give a plug to Gary Magnifico. He's a wrestler.
Is he?
He was second to state back in his day for Cedar Ridge High School.
I didn't realize that.
And test my memory, he beat a local guy. Oh, God.
Test your memory now. Shot by Ramos, and a reaction.
He'll come to me by the end.
Same move as the first period as Pedrero tries to get around behind. He's got him off his base for two and tilts him.
Cradle, and he's got him flat. Not quite for 2 seconds. Just missed a fall. Had him there for a second. You got to hold your man on his back, shoulder blades for a full 2 seconds to pick up the fall.
9-0 lead for Brian Pedrero. And right now it's a major, but those 2 extra points for the fall would have been very nice to have. And he's still got some time in this period as well as the third coming up. 10 seconds to go here in the second period. We'll probably end up pretty much at that score as the second comes to a close with Brian Pedrero up at 171 pounds, 9-0. It's Pedrero's choice.
Defense.
Gerald selects defense.
The opportunity to score.
Down in position, up and score. He's up 9-0 with 2 minutes to go here in the third at 171 pounds. Brian explodes up to his feet. Quick turn out, picks up 1, brings it to 10. Referee's going to stop it for blood.
At the end of the second period, he told Pedrero to wipe his lip. He must have seen a little bit of blood there. Either he bit his tongue or maybe his lip is cracked and chapped and is bleeding a little bit. But there is some blood there. And for health reasons, the bout stops if there's any kind of blood. And they have, and again, you could explain the blood time, Stu.
Well, you have 5 cumulative minutes of blood time. You can stop as many times as you want throughout the bout. You cannot exceed 5 minutes. Also, you can be coached during blood injury time, which a few years ago, that's another rule change. Coaches were not unable to talk to the wrestler, only were able to attend to the industry. To the
Injury, yes.
So we cut the clock. Now, during the cleanup, the clock doesn't run. So the 5 minutes is only to get the blood under control as we get a look at East Brunswick coaches tending to Brian's blood.
And the blue vest there down in the right-hand corner is trainer Phil Hostler. And
infamous.
I talked to Phil before the match, and I said, we missed you the last match against Woodbridge, and he was up in Boston. He is very involved with the National or the Eastern Association of Athletic Trainers. He's been the president of that organization, and he was up at a conference where he was very involved with that. And Phil has been here for, I'm going to say, 20-some-odd years as the trainer and has been very involved and very effective at developing the athletic training program here, including the student trainers that do a very good job with the athletes.
Well, a lot of the trainers around Middlesex County came under the tutelage of Mr. Hostler. Barb Bernstein is the trainer at South River High School, and she first developed an interest right here, working for Phil Hostler.
And a takedown for Pedrero, and Barbara also learned a lot about history from me in 8th grade. I want to let you know, too.
Oh, if Brian can get one more turn in, he can follow suit to Jordan Brown and pick up another tech fall. Of course, he got 1:14 to work with, and nothing's a given, but let's see what Brian can do here.
He has the major, so the question I guess you're going to look at now, can he turn him? And he has been able to do that. Would he give him one to get to? Because he's gotten a couple of takedowns now. He's gotten 3 takedowns during the course of this match. So does he give him one to get to?
The cradles work for him. Let's see if he can get him flat and try to lock up that cradle again.
He's looking for the tilt right now. As he rolls right through, and there was nothing, no control as he hit the shoulders.
I think Ramos is, getting a little defensive underneath, and that's the perfect opportunity for Brian to become offensive. Ramos is just there trying to crunch up, ball up, and not give anything up. Brian's got the one-on-one in on the near side. trying to work that roll through tilt again. He's got 43 seconds to work with, and he needs one more turn.
He's got the time if he can get it locked up. And right now he's working top and bottom. You can see the left arm through the crotch. Got a wrist there. Let it go. 25 to go here in regulation in the third period. He's trying to pull him across and try to get that, just dump it.
15 seconds to go. We're 11-7 in favor of the Bears in team score, 12-0 in the bout score. So after giving up 2 early decisions at 140 and 145, it's been all East Brunswick from 152 on, and we're going to add to that right into 189, and it's going to be Sergio Garcia taking the mat next for the Bears. 3
straight wins for the Bears, 2 a major decision, and a forfeit in there. So 15 points go up on the board for the Bears. For Brian Pedrero at 171 pounds.
Yeah, it's, not quite sure why the Bears picked up the forfeit. It looks like Piscataway did weigh in Keith Hopkins at 160, and it seemed like they had a full slate of JV wrestlers. They're going to forfeit to Sergio Garcia. They might not just have anybody experienced enough to wrestle him. Piscataway might feel that, hey, we're not going to win this dual meet. Let's
well, that runs counter to my
spare the beating.
That runs counter to my philosophy, which was always, if you're going to get 6 from me, you're going to earn 6. I don't care if I put out a rubber ball. You're going to still have to pin that rubber ball. And
well, I guess Mike Iwad's theory is here. He doesn't have the experience. Let the kids not, lose the confidence. So they're going to forfeit as well to Jimmy Ryder at 215, another strong wrestler in the Bears lineup.
I'm very surprised. I really am.
When we have time, remind me to tell you about South Brunswick this year, who's 112-pounders picking up some forfeits for a whole nother reason.
Okay. Jeremy Powell for the Chiefs. Pat Bream.
Now, I think the last time we wrestled, the Bears had a different heavyweight. This is the first time we're getting a look at Pat Bream tonight. Who did we have wrestle heavyweight last time against Woodbridge? Coach, how's your memory?
You know what? And I threw out my sheets. I don't know. 2 points for Pat Bream.
Bream on the board first, and he's very outweighed here. But it's not all about the weight; it's about the technique. And Pat in on a takedown. He's in control. He's on top. When you're giving up a surplus of pounds, you got to rely on the technique. It's not going to be the weight that's going to get him through this one.
Well, we talk about heavyweight, but actually this is the 285-pound weight class. At one time, heavyweight was an unlimited weight class. There was no upper weight. As
reversal.
Powell gets reversal.
Actually, just this year, it's up to 285.
285 was 275,
correct.
Right. But I mean, for years, you could have a kid come out here who was 300, 400 pounds, and of course, we remember a wrestler from South River who was actually a very good wrestler, Russ Olson, who we affectionately, and along with other people, affectionately called him Earth. He was a big kid, and of course, Russ has slimmed down. He's it wasn't official for a number of years. I don't know if he still is.
No, not anymore. But I did the most memorable moment I have of him, besides the famous East Brunswick South River matches, when they came on the bus. He went out the back door, and that's true. So we're at 2s with 1 minute to go in the first. Pat Bream of the Bears on bottom, giving up a substantial weight difference to Jermaine Powell from Piscataway on top in position.
Powell is stocky. He's not a tall wrestler, and a lot of times what we're seeing now is some very buff cut wrestlers, 6 feet 6'2" at heavyweight at that 285-pound weight class.
I was talking to Ron Mazzola, involved in the Old Bridge program, and their heavyweight, they have a guy, they just haven't got him down to 285 yet.
Wow.
Started about 322. They got him down to 291, so he's about 6 pounds away from his debut.
It's kind of hard to imagine,
cutting to make heavyweight.
Cutting to make heavyweight.
We've seen some good wrestlers do it. Antonio Garay, a Rawway state champion, but he had he'd come off football season at 300 and have to cut down for wrestling. Must have done something right. He's in the NFL now. Believe he's a defensive lineman for the Chicago Bears.
Okay. He did not wrestle in college, did he? Went to Boston College, right?
I believe he went to Hofstra. And don't recall if he wrestled or not.
Okay.
Defers to green. Way to jump.
Decision to make here for Coach Bazinko. We're at 2-2, and Coach Bazinko leaving it up to Pat. You know, gave him an option, bottom or neutral, and I guess Pat thinking he took him down once. Let's try it again. So he took the off.
Powell got it quick
neutral.
got it quick on the knee and just used that bulk to push it through.
Well, quite
Still
an
no
agile
control.
shot for a big guy. Nice shot right in on the leg. Pat's going to try, if he could step over and hook that arm.
He's got to scoot those hips out a little bit, though. He didn't quite get him out.
Well, he needs to hold on. He can't give up that arm. That's what's keeping him from giving up the takedown now. And only so long he can hold on there. And Powell picks up the 2.
At some point, discretion is the better part of valor, and that was a decision just to not have to fight there because you are giving up a lot of weight and it's a lot of strain on you as well sitting in that position. 1:20 to go here in the second period at 285. Which will still occasionally call heavyweight. Pat Bream for the Bears and Jerome Powell for the Chiefs.
Well, Mike Gaywad on the edge of the mat for Piscataway. Technically, if we want to play by the rules, the coach needs to stay on the bench or behind the bench. You cannot come before the bench. And I think Kevin, like most referees, feel, hey, if they're not bothering me, I'm not going to bother them. I think once the coaches become indignant to the official,
You all set?
then they'll usually take a stronger stand on it.
Well,
but
I remember when they put the rule in that you had to stay behind the bench, and I thought I was going to go crazy because I was not one to sit down too often. I approached the end, and I was kneeling on the edge of the mat, as most coaches did. You sat in the corner. Pat getting out, but controlled by Powell. Pat coming out and spinning behind for the reversal.
I'm reading the information sheet, and Patrick's twin sister is the manager.
He's got him on his back and a fall.
What seemed like out of nowhere, I took my eyes off the match for a second. You called it. We got a fall here.
3 minutes, 22 seconds of the second period. Pat Bream.
Well, East Brunswick has not had real great success at heavyweight for the last few years, so it's nice to see the Bears with a good performance at heavyweight.
Well, I mean, I was talking with some of the other of the staff here at East Brunswick, Harry Morris in particular, and we're saying, you don't get the big kids out anymore. You aren't finding big wrestlers. You aren't finding upper weights that are tough and quick and hard fighters. Not just in East Brunswick, but I think across the board, they're just not around.
Well, we got a freshman on the mat now for the Bears, Matt Parabello.
It still floors me a little bit when you've got these big guys going out there, and suddenly, because we have a different sequence of wrestlers, that you're now suddenly down to the little guys again, instead of that progression up the weights. Mike Moore is the
go from big to small, boy. It's it's an eye opener how that just transforms you.
And in a lot of cases, the big guys are a little more plodding, although that wasn't the case with Bream and Powell. And then suddenly you see that flurry of activity with the little guys. Mora for the Mike Mora for the Chiefs.
Well, with that win at heavyweight, East Brunswick with a commanding 33-7 lead right now. And this is a red division matchup, so it's always good when you can win within division.
Mora trying for the front headlock. Parabel can't flatten out. He's got to stay on his knees, stay on his base. Mora able to use that pry with the leg and flatten him out.
Nothing yet.
Matt trying to hook the leg.
Wow, nothing.
Now Greg Pazinko on the sideline yelling at stay in good position. To some extent, he got a little careless. Could have gotten that takedown had he been able to maintain his position inside the circle.
So 2 of the 14 weight classes tonight for the Bears are filled with Parabellos. We get a look at Matt here at 103, and down the road a couple weight classes we're going to get a look at his brother, Nick.
Now it's going to be interesting to see what happens at 125, because in the lineup that was presented to us, Piscataway did not put anybody in at 125. They've already forfeited 3 times where we thought they did have someone. So I don't know if they're going to try to move somebody. They didn't seem to introduce anybody early on, and they're not carrying a very large squad. So it could be that we have another forfeit coming up.
Well, they show C.J. Adams at 130, who has been at 125 for Piscataway. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see how that plays out. We don't have the weigh-in sheet to know, what they weighed in at. So we don't know if that option's available where CJ can go 25 or 30 or he didn't make 125 tonight.
You wait.
And just to go over the rule for that, for those who are not familiar with it, where you weigh in, you can then wrestle that weight class or one weight class above.
Correct. And what people also don't realize, watching at home that might not be as familiar with wrestling, the wrestlers actually do just that. They weigh in prior to the match, between 1 hour and 1/2 hour before the match. They'll get weighed, and that determines where they can go.
Mike Mora gets the escape here in the second period.
The weigh-in supervised by the coaches. It's considered a shoulder-to-shoulder weigh-in where you weigh in right in front of your opponent, and the weight's recorded. Your natural weight's recorded.
You have to step on that scale, and once upon a time, and again we're going back to the dark ages, you had certified weights where coaches or the athletic director might weigh a team in, and you didn't have to do that in front of your opponent. So you were trusting the
ethics,
the ethics of the athletic director and the coach to be there. A lot of times in the junior high school years ago, we would do that. Certainly I did it when I was wrestling. And even on the high school level, within our conference, we sometimes would do that. 3-0 is the lead right now for Mike Mora, and he has a turn for on Parabella, puts him on his back. He's got back points.
Parabella doing a nice job of rolling out.
Two back, still red.
Needs to square up, needs to suck in that leg, try to cut the corner. He's trying to convert to a double. Nice job by Parabella, fighting that off.
Still red.
Kevin Rafferty doing a nice job here tonight. When you don't hear anybody yelling at him, you know you're doing something right.
Well, he's very decisive in his calls, and that's one of the things that coaches and fans and wrestlers like. There's no hesitation. It's there, it's not.
Still red.
And
Nick,
got forced there a little bit. That's a little power move on the part of Mora. A little bit more.
Mora's on the throat. He needs to come off the throat. You need to take the cross face across the face. You can't bring it, across the throat. Mora coming real close to cutting off the windpipe there on Matt.
No points on that, and it will be Parabella's choice here in the third
Great
period.
choice. Talk to me. Neutral. Neutral.
They go on their feet for the last period.
Parabella down 5-0 here in the third. Not, unthinkable that he can come back. He needs a strong period here.
Well, on that,
he's been coming real close. He's getting 3/4 of the way done with his moves. He's just not finishing.
yeah, it almost looks like this as a strength issue to some extent. He's getting in there. He's got the position, but he can't quite finish it off.
Well, Mora's trying to work a spladle, and if Matt can pop his head through, and the amount of real estate he's got to work with, he's just going to run out of space.
Control for either wrestler was not there as they went out of bounds. And the other thing too, Matt, when he did shoot on that one, it was he went like 3/4 of the way. Didn't quite finish it off and penetrate as much as he could have.
Not sure what Matt weighs, but he looks like he's a little small for 103. Maybe giving up a couple pounds, but the dividends are going to, pay off for him down the road.
Yep.
He's only a freshman, going to be around for a while, and gaining some good varsity experience this year. It's what's going to help him down the road.
Well, that's if you're going to wrestle varsity, it's going to be the little guys, but. Even with the younger wrestlers or the lower weight classes, you've got some older kids who do pop in there once in a while, and they will take advantage of the inexperience of a freshman such as Matt Parabella.
Well, Parabella needs now to lift up the face. He needs to try to scoop under that arm.
He's coming up. He's got to stay back on the hips. He was okay for a minute. He had to kick the leg out, and he gave up that weight and allowed Mora to use the leverage.
Despite being down 7-0 in score, he's been aggressive. He's trying his moves. He's, giving it 100% out there. So, Matt with nothing to be ashamed about, nothing to concern himself with other than trying hard, and he's giving it his all tonight.
Well, as you can see on the scoreboard on your screen, 33-7 is the team score, and right now it's a 7-0 lead, though, for Mike Mora over Matt Parabella, and that is how the match will finish up. So the 7-bout win streak for the Bears comes to a close. as Mike Mora takes the win at 103 pounds.
Well, Piscataway's two toughest wrestlers are probably the last two we're going to see, C.J. Adams and A.J. Raybar. It seems like there's been a Raybar in the Piscataway lineup for as far back as I can remember.
They've been around for a long time. This is Brian Renahan for the Chiefs, and Brant Shine, who had one of the 2 wins the other night against Old Bridge.
And he also had a win our last broadcast against Woodbridge, so he's been on the left. It's much better to see your name on the left, and he's been on the left since we've seen him.
Shine, a junior, gets in there. Look, he's got to pop his head for the takedown. He's got leg control. And Brant Shine takes a 2-0 lead here at 112 pounds. 4 more bouts after this. We'll finish up at 135 pounds tonight.
Still green here. Still green here.
It's got the legs controlled pretty well. As they go out of bounds with 1:05 to go here in the first.
Red, you were down facing me.
We always like to mention our managers, Maggie Wentz, Amy
Nice and easy.
Bream, whose brother picked up a key fall for the Bears, a heavyweight twin brother, Jackie McDonald. I'm going to let you say that next one, Coach.
Amanda Rutkowitz.
And Lucy Leonard. Spelling and reading have never been my strong points.
Okay.
So
Maggie Wenz,
I'm not embarrassed to tell you.
Maggie Wenz is sister of a wrestling manager earlier, of Jen Wenz. And as
Shine working
Shine
on a
puts
fall, we took our eyes off
Gotta
the
lift
mat
the head.
again, and Brant close to the fall. Piscataway trying to fight out, pushes up on the chin of Brant.
a lot of time, 33 seconds to go here in the first period.
Shine on top,
Gotta
and
keep his
scoring
head
on
up.
top in position. He's got 26 seconds to work with as Brian Renahan rolls out of that.
Well, good fight by Renahan. but
Shine
of
back
course,
in on it again.
Not wasting any time.
He's got a reverse half, needs to tee off, needs to come out to the side. He's going to pick up 3 more back points, increase his lead to 8-0.
Well, even though he's come out twice now, and I was about to say it after the first time, you know, you're on your back, you're fighting. That takes a lot of energy, a lot of fight out of you.
Now, we used to refer to it, you know, what do you do when you're on your back and you got 2 minutes? And I remember Coach Quirk, a famous line, he says, start counting the lights. Let me know how many there are out there. Whatever works, whatever could take your mind off the situation is what you want to do out there. You know,
All set now? All right, here we go, Red. Nice and easy.
well, I don't believe the Bears have not given up any falls tonight.
No.
So it's something
Ready?
to give a few to-dos about. That's the key, keeping off your back, and it's Brant starting on bottom,
Red here. Still
trying to
red
work for
here.
reversal.
Still red.
Piscataway still in control as we hear our official, Kevin Rafferty, saying still red.
He's got the legs. He's got to cut the corner. He's going to post that leg and try to kick to the right now. As he does,
Good job by Kevin, waiting on the call. There it is.
he lifted the
Shine
weight.
in control. He picks up 2-point reversal.
Lifted the weight up, had control, and he now has a 10-0 lead. So we are again in a bonus point situation now as he lifts and tilts. A little careless there, but good follow through by Shine. And they go out with 1:22 to go here in the second period.
Shine up 10-0.
All right, here we go, Green.
Little Granby roll there by
One count.
Renahan.
One count.
You heard the referee say 1 count, so it was just a 1 count on the back points. Did not get anything out of it.
You need to hold your opponent in that position, the near field position, for at least 2 seconds.
2 seconds gives you the 2-point near fall, and if you hold them for 5, that gives you the 3-point near fall. Under a minute now here in the second period. Brant Shine doing a good job with a lot of control and a fall. Wow, that was quick.
Double arm bars, put the pressure in, leaned in, got his hips up, and got the fall.
3:08 of the second period. Brant Shine with a pin at 112.
So I don't know what Coach Bazinko said to him after the Old Bridge match, but whatever it is, it's paying off here as the see our score 39-10 on your screen.
Second pin for the Bears. They've also had the 3 forfeits along with a tech fall and a major. So the points have been racked up by the Bears. And Matty Ackerman comes out here at 119 pounds. Matt, whose brothers Tim and Brian both wrestled for the Bears, and whose dad Ken has been very involved with the wrestling program since the kids were in recreation. A great supporter of the sport here at East Brunswick.
I believe that's only 3. I think there's 5 Ackermans altogether, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think the daughter's going to wrestle, though, but you never know.
You never know.
Because we do have female wrestlers, and you were going to talk about the 125-pounder. Good segue.
Thank you.
From South Brunswick,
well,
as Matt gets that ankle high.
About forfeits, and a lot of people have been forfeiting to the South Brunswick 112-pounder because she's a girl. And I guess that's a coach's decision. Do I put my man out there? Do I don't put my man out there? What happens when you lose to a girl? Does it affect you mentally? Is my wrestler going to lose his confidence? So a lot of schools have been electing not to throw an opponent out there against her. Her name is Sarah Dorsey. She's nationally ranked among girls. And I've seen her wrestle in 3 meets this year, and she's picked up 3 forfeits.
But apparently she is the real deal.
Yeah.
She is she's not just out there for show. She's a good wrestler. And the thing is, and I was saying earlier, it's all well and good they're giving the forfeits now because you don't want to have your kid lose to a girl. But what happens in the districts? There's no choice there. What happens in the counties? There's no choice there. You're going to have to wrestle.
So we'll see her. I believe we're back with EBTV for the East Brunswick South Brunswick match.
It's the 23rd, I believe.
And let's see how it plays out.
Well,
I could see the merit both ways. I'm not going to give you an opinion, but I'm just going to tell you how I see it, and I could see both sides of it.
Well, the fact of the matter is, though, if she's coming out to wrestle, and East Brunswick has 2 girls who are wrestling on the JV level right now. If she's going to come out to wrestle, and she's been in that room and she's working as hard as everybody else, and she makes weight, why do you back off? She's a competitor like everybody else.
Well,
as the feminist in me comes out.
Well, that's one side of it, and obviously the other side, not saying right or wrong, is do I want my male wrestler to go out there and have his confidence and get ribbed at school and everybody saying you lost to a girl? So, there is no right or wrong. It's a personal decision, and every team has to handle it on their own.
Well, again, sometimes it may not even be the coach. It may just be the wrestler themselves. They're just not going to handle it. And I guess
you don't see a lot in the upper weights.
No.
It's usually something that's going to occur in one of the first, 2, 3, 4 weight classes. Although we have seen it, we have seen girls in the upper weights. I remember, I think Highland Park had a girl wrestler about 160, 171 a few years back. Perth Amboy always seems to have a couple girls in the lineup. They're out there. I'm sure you can, if you went around and polled the GMC, you could probably, come up with a dozen or 2.
The interesting thing is that on the national level, on a national competition, there are national wrestling tournaments for women.
And it's Ackerman in on a takedown, and he's picking up more.
Matt being very aggressive here. He's got a 6-0 lead. He's got more coming as he works. Sonari Parker is his opponent from Piscataway here at 119 pounds.
3. All right, let's go. Keep working now.
9-0, a major decision right now as Matt works that bar across the back. And you hear the referee saying keep it on the body. You cannot pick it up against the natural position of the joint.
Work it, Kohn. That arm, watch that shoulder. Nothing yet. 1. No, one count.
Piscataway will be the host of the GMC tournament that'll take place the last weekend of January this year. As you alluded to earlier, everything's a week earlier this year. Normally the county tournament's been the first week in February as far back as I can remember, as Ackerman picking up more back points.
Use that straight half, which you don't always see anymore, to turn his opponent He's got the back points.
Well, what he needs to do is lift that head off the mat, try to scoop the head. He doesn't even need to. He picks up the fall here with 4 seconds to spare.
Well, actually, they let that clock run a little bit. That was 1:56 on the fall. I'm sorry, 3:56 on the fall with 4 seconds remaining in the second period. Matty Ackerman with the Bears' third pin of the night.
Well, the Bears with a commanding, 45-10 lead. I thought I gave them the kiss of death in the pre-match when I told you I thought they were going to come out on top tonight, and then they dropped the first 2 bouts at 40 and 45, and it's been all East Brunswick since.
You've got to get one of them right somewhere still when you do those predictions. So
we're doing enough of them, right? We're going to get it right. And Nick Parabella picking up a 6-point forfeit for the Bears.
As we said, they didn't have anybody listed at 125, and so they do give the forfeit at that weight class. Nick Parabella not having to wrestle tonight.
Here we go.
C.J. C.J. Adams taking the mat for Piscataway here.
And Kenny Charleston for the Bears.
Going back quite a few years, the late 70s. C.J. Adams' dad, Carl Adams, was Middlesex County wrestling champion at 148 pounds. So keeping it in the family.
It's a little scary, though, Stu, that we remember guys that were wrestling. I'm coaching against them, you're wrestling against them, and now their kids are wrestling out here. So somebody's been around for a very long time, and I guess it's Carl Adams.
I'm sure there's a lot better things I could be remembering than wrestling opponents and scores in 1978, but it is funny the things we remember. And I only remember because he beat me.
Well, C.J. Adams doing a very good job here on top. He's got good control on the wrist over Kenny Charleston. Charleston is a junior.
Keep it to the body. You're good. Keep it to the body.
And one of the things I'd have to say about the lineup that Glenn Pazinko puts out there, he's got a lot of underclassmen. He doesn't have a lot of seniors in there. So even though they might be juniors and they may have another year left, they are relatively young. So he's got a lot of kids who, if they stick it out and they work hard this year, are going to come back next year with more experience. And that's got to bode well for them down the line.
Well, what the Bears do lose this year, if I just want to double check it, because I'm so used to seeing him in the lineup, it actually is the senior year of Sergio Garcia.
Wow.
Seems like he's been around forever. I guess he's got to graduate sooner or later.
Well, I was talking to his dad out front, and he said it went by so fast.
Yeah.
The time does go, and you have kids, I have children, and they're grown now, but the time does fly. And I can remember when Sergio and he was saying how he remembers when Sergio was just looking at the lights himself. Those early years as he's wrestling as an 8-year-old, and now suddenly he's a senior.
Adams has good technique out there.
Nothing. Kept going back and forth,
The Bears only have 5 seniors in the lineup, and several of those are relatively young wrestlers as far as experience. So really, the majority of the Bears lineup are underclassmen, and they have the potential to come back and do much more down the line. 2-0.
And the feeder program real strong in East Brunswick right now. As we alluded to the last broadcast, there's over 100 wrestlers in the recreation program. Several teams down there, green team, white team, termite team, B team, A team. So there's the depth is good. If a percentage of those wrestlers can stick with it and take it serious and take it year round, hopefully Coach Pazinko will have some nice wrestlers coming his way.
Well, you go back a few years ago, and some of the wrestlers we're seeing right now, I mean, Sergio Garcia, Chris Williams, the Ackermans they all came through the rec program. And there's no question, and you see that with the South Plainfield and Old Bridge, where you have a strong recreation program where kids are getting in there, they're getting involved, they're starting to understand the sport at an earlier age. And you're right, it's a pyramid, and some kids will drop by the wayside and find other interests. But if you can keep that core of kids who are interested and are working hard, it's a lot easier to build a program. And I think that's what Glenn is looking for and hoping for, that Mike Duhigg down at the rec level is going to turn that program into a more successful one and give him some other kids who've got 40 or 50 bouts under their belt by the time they hit their freshman year.
Well, Adams on top in position, on top in score. Second period, midway through, 6-0 in favor of C.J. Adams over Kenny Charleston here at 130 pounds.
30 seconds to go here in the second period at 130. Just one more bout after this.
Match is stopped for, I believe, blood. I think we have a bloody
Red,
nose.
Make sure he's got nothing on him, please.
I missed one other wrestler when I mentioned the kids coming through the rec program. Todd Marriott came through the rec program as well. So kids who are on the lineup right now that were there, and you go back a few years, and there were any number of wrestlers who were highly successful for the Bears. You know, Carmen Corona, and my mind went blank. Brian Ackerman,
Walter Toto.
All kids who wrestled in the rec have been successful at the high school level. But again, having that background is so important.
I remember in your absence one night working a match with Charlie King, and kind of made me chuckle when we talked about Walter Toto and Antonio Toto. Those are two guys that, you know, they can ankle pick you walking down the hall. They just had that down. You know, a move we don't see a lot anymore.
No.
So we get a look at Coach Piscataway in the black, Coach Nazzo, Coach Roy, and our student trainer tending to the nose of Kenny Charleston. And that's a name that's been around wrestling for a while. I'm only going to assume that's the same Charleston that was wrestling for, you know, maybe son of the Charleston family back in the 70s when there's, you know, Charleston's in the Bears lineup.
You know, we mentioned the manager earlier, and you mentioned the student trainer. Victoria McQueen is her name, and she's working with Phil Hostler and the training staff here. And I know how much effort goes into that, and Phil really does train these kids. They're not just out there to hand out Band-Aids. They do training work, and they're excellent wrestlers as Kenny Charleston gets the escape here in the second period to make it 6-1 at 130 pounds.
No.
Well, you look over in the Bears bench, and Glenn Piscataway had a bit of a smile, and he hasn't had too many laughers this year. And to be able to relax a little bit in a bout, and he certainly has been able to do that here. Kenny Charleston doing a good job. He's got to stand up with that. He could have gotten away with it, but he stopped. And there was no result from that move. Second period ends. 6-1 is the lead for C.J. Adams.
Nice and easy, Red.
Coach Piscataway being joined in the staff by Christian Nazzo and Steve Roy. Steve Roy, presently a teacher at Hammershoal Middle School. He's also been a little quiet tonight. He gets a little animated. We've seen him on the sidelines. I guess when you're up 51-10, you can chill a little bit.
And I was working down in Monmouth County, and I was working late, and one of my students who goes to Wall High School thought he might be wrestling. I went to the match against Old Bridge the night, and I was in there wrestling with all those Roy names up on the wall. Andy Roy and Nick Roy.
Adams picking up some back points here. He's going to pick up at least two. Let's see if it's three. It's three, so that's going to bring our bout score to 9-1. And we're bleeding again, so we're going to add some blood time. Now the stoppage gets added to the first injury. Like we said earlier, you can't exceed 5 minutes. I don't think I've ever seen a wrestler actually have to default because you can't stop the blood within 5 minutes. I've seen kids wrapped up like mummies. I've seen it all, but I've never actually saw a match stop because of blood. Usually the high school rules and college rules follow suit. There is no such similar rule in college. There isn't, and I think basically because how often do we see it? You know, where the blood can't be stopped.
It really doesn't happen that often. I mean, a kid might get scratched. You can cover that up and tape it up pretty quickly. Nosebleeds are the most common thing that you see, and they do have those. And I was talking to Phil Hostler earlier. Those little gauze pads that your dentist might use, and they'll put that in your nostril, and they'll try to keep that in there and stop the bleeding. And
well, the wrestlers that seem to have a problem seem to be the ones that continue to have a problem. I think, you know, it's once that seal's cracked, it's something that's around until it's healed, and your nose is going to be sensitive to it, you know.
Well, through high school, I had my nose cauterized twice. And it's just, as you said, once there's that weak link, and you're with the cross face and getting your nose pushed in the mat, which I had a lot, you know, you're constantly getting that pounding, and you're going to get the breakage of the capillaries, and it's going to bleed. And in my day, they simply kept a bag of cotton balls on the side, and I'd come over, they'd stick one in my nose, and we started wrestling again. You know, as we move along at 1:30, I just sitting here realizing I think this might be the first dual meet we've had here without a stalling warning. Well, I'm going to go back to something I said earlier. Kevin Rafferty, the referee, said that's probably the one thing he doesn't call as effectively as he probably could, or as often as he could.
Well, and the other thing you said, it's important to be consistent, and he's been consistent.
And in fairness, I think the wrestlers have moved along pretty well. I don't think there really has been much stalling. There were a couple of situations where Kevin gave him a verbal warning, and that's preventive officiating, which is certainly a good thing to do, and not inappropriate.
I like the way you said that, preventive officiating. That's great. I might copy that line too. I'm walking away with all kinds of new one-liners tonight.
Then you just took a line from football, especially where you talk to the kids, and you do that in wrestling all the time. Sure. This match will come to a close with C.J. Adams with a 9-1 win over Kenny Charleston, and the Bears maintain a lead, even though the Chiefs pick up 4 points there.
As Kenny continues to bleed walking off the mat.
And this brings up the last match of the night. Mark Wu for the Bears, and he'll be going up against A.J. Raybar.
Very quick on his feet. You'll see Raybar aggressive at shooting. You'll see him come right at you, right on that whistle.
All right, here we go.
So that's what you can expect here.
Raybar placed 4th in the GMCs last year, so he is an experienced wrestler, a good wrestler. He's a senior. And Mark Wu, a junior for the Bears, here at 135 pounds.
I think he just broke into the lineup. We've seen Chris Williams wrestle this weight class in the past, so let's see what Mark Wu can do here. Like you said, a junior. He was 3rd in the Sayreville JV tournament. Favorite subject in school is science.
Come on, let's wrestle. Let's wrestle.
Now, you didn't talk about the kids who had their favorite subject as history before. There were several of them, and I was going to highlight them.
Nor did I talk about the ones whose favorite subject was lunch and gym.
No.
I didn't give a plug to the cafeteria ladies.
Quick ankle pick by Mark Wu as he gets in on Raybar.
Well, maybe we see why he worked his way into that lineup.
Nothing.
Wu doing a nice job.
Quick and aggressive.
No.
Well, Wu's 4-8 in the season, so maybe it's just that's missed him in the lineup. 12 points, 12 matches this early in the season. He must be in the lineup.
He must have wrestled in some of the holiday tournaments that they had earlier on when they went down to Neptune, and then the Bears tournament as well.
On our feet.
I think he caught Raybar a little off guard. Maybe Raybar wasn't expecting that.
Obviously not.
Needs to rethink his strategy here. You can never take your opponent lightly. Got to respect them all and fear nobody.
I'm going to write that one down. Take that one with me.
Come on, guys.
So much of wrestling is mental. As you alluded to earlier, it's got to believe in yourself and have the confidence.
I was talking to a colleague who really had never followed wrestling and saw a match for the first time, and they said, I never realized. When you hear about it, you think about it, but there you are by yourself. You're out there. There's nobody else to blame. You get all the credit, but you get all the responsibility as well.
Neutral.
Raybar defers here in the second period with no score in the first, and they go on their feet with Wu choosing to take the neutral position. As you're saying, Stu, that goes back to the mental side of wrestling. It really is very emotional. A lot of mind games that go on. Not that wrestling coaches ever play mind games with each other.
So we've been on in this bout for 2.5 minutes, and we're still locked at zeros.
Come on, guys, come on.
No, I think you're right, Stu. I think Mark Wu definitely put a little bit of a
Well, I'll be the first to,
admit,
even I underestimated him. I didn't know what Mark Wu had in him, but I certainly knew Raybar is one of the top guns. He's been around the Piscataway lineup for a little while, so maybe even I sold him short. He's doing an outstanding job here staying with Raybar. Even though they're at 0-0, he's been right there, and he's in this match. Certainly to the dismay of Raybar.
Well, I heard Kevin Rafferty talk about stop dancing, and the last time he said that, we had a quick flurry of 5 points within about 15 seconds.
These guys are exerting a lot of energy. You know, it might not appear it, but they are, as Raybar scores first for a takedown, and it took 3.5 minutes for somebody to get on the scoreboard here.
It's a good power move. I thought he had him going to his back, and Wu was able to fight through that.
Okay, use them. Use them. Now the green, use them.
Well, Raybar is going to, without a doubt, draw one of the top seeds in the forthcoming GMC tournament. You know, he's been around a while. He's returning place winner. So Mark Wu doing an outstanding job tonight.
Very nice job. And the GMCs are the 24th and the 25th. No.
Last weekend in January. I want to say 26,
26 and 27.
No. Nothing there.
And the period comes to an end, just 2-0. And you know, you're right. I think Mark Wu has been pleasantly surprising to us, certainly, as not really being too familiar with him as a wrestler, but being very familiar with AJ Raybar. And Wu doing a nice job here now in the top position in the third period. He's got to break him down.
Come on, guys. Come on.
Oh, Wu's got a fan out there. I can hear it. I just can't tell where it's coming from.
I'm looking too. I'm hearing that voice, and I
Somebody-
can't place it.
Somebody screaming out instructions. Somebody with a very loud voice. Ah, there it's coming from the sidelines. Coach Roy, as we get a look at Coach Roy. And it's Piscataway warned for stalling.
Finally a warning.
I got injury, red.
And I
Coach.
don't know if Rebar's making a pit stop for some gas or he's got an injury out here, but we're going to get a stoppage in action with Wu up. Wu down, I'm sorry, 2-0. We get a look at Phil Hostler coming out to see what's up with Raybar. It's very interesting, you know, when the school doesn't bring their own trainer, what the liability is for the home trainer. Some, you know, Phil Hostler will go over there, he'll help out. Some trainers will not do that.
Well, I mean, from my standpoint, you know, as a school administrator, not that my school has sports, but it's difficult. You probably only have one trainer, and how do you send him on the road if you've got something going on at home? It's not I don't think it's a common practice at all to send a trainer. You might have a student trainer out there who can do a little bit.
And say we're ready to go.
I've seen situations where it's led to conflict, where the trainer can declare a wrestler ineligible to continue, and the team might have a gripe with it because it's the other school's trainer. But technically, that's the authority, that's the voice of wisdom. That's the first rule of wrestling is safety.
Yep.
So let's see if Wu can convert. Now, if Raybar should need to stop again, Wu would have his choice of position. He could switch to bottom if he wanted to.
And I'm not quite sure what happened there, because it wasn't like they were looking at any particular body part, a hand or a wrist. Well, and unless he got gassed a little bit there, just got a little
the bug
tired.
is also floating around. We've seen the virus is going around, the flu, so anything could be going on. But we do know is Mark Wu is hanging tough. Outside that 2-point takedown by Raybar, it's been an even match. And now certainly Wu's dominating here in the third period. Raybar looking at the clock, seeing how much more time he's got to hide out there. And
we
saw our first stall warning. Let's see if it converts to a point with 13 seconds to go.
Just about to say he has been warned, and now the question is, if he's not doing anything and Wu can't improve the position, will there be a point? And it's kind of a moot point at this point because the bout is over. 2-0, a win for AJ Raybar, but a great job by Mark Wu to maintain a close match and really a very good match for him. 51-17 is the final score as the Bears pick up the win. Some surprises, I guess, Stu, with the forfeits that the Bears picked up. There were 4 forfeits. And it did seem that they had enough wrestlers out there, Piscataway did, to have bouts. But at 125, at 160, 189, and 215, they gave up the 6. The Bears also picked up a couple of pins along the way. Pat Bream at 285 had a pin, along with Brant Shine at 112 and Matt Ackerman at 119. And there were some tech fall.
Well, I'm going to give my 5-star performance to Pat Bream tonight. It was nice to see a pin by the Bears, especially at heavyweight.
That was the first pin of the night, even though they had some forfeits, were building up some points. But that pin, I think, did make a difference because it gave a little bit of a spark. Yeah, they lost the next bout, but they then went on a bit of a roll, 2 pins and the forfeit, and yes, the Chiefs won the last 2 bouts, but those are the 2 best wrestlers they have, Adams and Raybar, so it's not surprising there. But a good matchup by the Bears as they pick up their 2nd win, a division win in the red division over the Piscataway Chiefs. So the Bears go to, I think it's 2-5 now on the season, and Piscataway falls to 2-6. Now we're on Friday the 12th right now. Tomorrow the Bears go into a quad, as we said earlier, against at Monroe, and then they will be matching up down the line with the rest of the division, and of course, as we said, in 2 weeks, the GMC tournament on the 26th and 27th at Piscataway High School.
We'll be back here just prior to that for the South Brunswick match,
which should be a very good matchup. South Brunswick doing pretty well, but it should be a pretty good set of pairings in the head-to-head competition.
And we'll get a look at the ever-build Sarah Dorsey at 112,
and head coach Joe Doherty, who now with Bill Volova gone is one of the senior members, one of the deans of the GMC wrestling fraternity.
And Joe spent some time coaching here at East Brunswick.
So the final score here for the Piscataway matchup with East Brunswick, the Bears win it 51-17. For EBTV, I'm Bob Cancro along with Stu Kohn. Thanks for watching.